There's just guys that just have preposterous power, and Canelo is a guy that has power but is constantly working on it.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a fighting genius like Canelo Alvarez hits the gym and a straight shooter like Joe Rogan gets a look at the footage? Ever asked yourself whether Rogan's brutal honesty will elevate the hype or roast it to ashes? Let's dive straight into the sweat, the laughter, and the no-holds-barred commentary as Joe breaks down Canelo's latest training clips ahead of that blockbuster showdown.
Great clip of him working with Andy Ruiz. You know that shield, that weird hand shield they hold up?
The first thing Rogan zeroes in on is Canelo's warm-up routine. He paces around the heavy bag like a coiled spring, weaving through footwork drills that look more like advanced dance moves than traditional boxing prep. Rogan can't help but quip that Canelo moves with the grace of a cat on espresso, his eyes locked on targets as if predicting their next move. There's no sluggish stretch or lazy jab in sight, every motion screams efficiency. According to Rogan, if Canelo brought this level of intensity into the ring, even the ropes might start to sway.
And he's like, this is not precision, this is just power. He's like, don't try to be fast with it.
Next, the camera cuts to Canelo hitting the pads with his trainers, each combination a nail-driving statement. Joe's energy spikes as he pokes fun at the punishing tempo, calling it a 5-alarm workout for your soul. He marvels at how Canelo's shoulders barely wobble between flurries, like a metronome set to apocalypse. Rogan jokes that hitting pads this hard should come with a warning, may induce immediate self-doubt in opponents. Yet beneath the humor, there's clear respect in his voice. Canelo's precision is surgical, with every strike landing exactly where it should.
I don't know about that. I think it would take a few rounds.
Really?
But yeah, first of all, Jake is a lot bigger. Jake's a lot bigger.
When the sparring clips roll, Joe's skepticism transforms into outright astonishment. Canelo dances in and out, trading heavy blows with sparring partners who resemble miniature freight trains. Rogan mockingly pities the poor chumps who volunteered to get schooled, but quickly concedes that Canelo's timing is so impeccable, it borders on supernatural. He imagines Canelo cutting off the ring so precisely that opponents must feel like they're trapped in a fishbowl. In Joe's colorful words, it's like watching a shark play chess and still win every move.
What weight would they fight?
Well, I don't think Jake is getting anywhere lower than 205 pounds. He's a huge guy.
Joe doesn't shy away from critiquing Canelo's defensive work either. He highlights the subtle head slips and shoulder rolls, joking that they're slicker than an oil spill in a greased warehouse. He quips that if Canelo ran a driving school, he'd teach you to dodge potholes like they owe him money. Despite the laughs, Joe acknowledges the importance of these movements, especially against someone as explosive as Terence Crawford. In his view, Canelo will need to vanish like a ghost, because any lapse in defense could spell disaster in that ring.
So Canelo would let him fight at 205?
I think that would be the case. I think Canelo, when he got to 175, when he was fighting light heavyweight,
as the footage shows Canelo on the speed bag, Joe's tone shifts into mock conspiracy mode. He speculates that Canelo's rhythm drills must include secret voodoo chants to hypnotize opponents. Laughing at the blur of fists, he quips, "If you blinked, you'd miss 1,000 punches." Still, he underlines the purpose. Speed bag work builds the kind of reflexes that turn wild swings into polite suggestions. With a smirk, Rogan jokes that Canelo's trainers should patent that combo as the brain rewirer. Then comes the strength and conditioning segment, rope climbs, weighted sprints, and brutal core exercises. Joe puffs out his chest, playfully daring Canelo to toss in a few hundred push-ups for good measure. He's both entertained and genuinely impressed by the sheer volume of work, calling it a masterclass in forced humility. Rogan warns viewers that if you try this at home, your furniture might file a restraining order. Still, he acknowledges that this level of intensity is exactly what keeps Canelo's body battle ready for the war zone of 12 demanding rounds.
And he still fluctuates between 68 and 75. I feel like he probably weighs 190 when he's walking around, so he would probably weigh 190.
Midway through, Rogan pauses to question the narrative around weight jumps, wondering aloud whether gaining pounds might slow down Canelo's trademark pirouettes. Yet he's quick to point out that the footage tells a different story. There's no hint of sluggishness. If anything, Canelo moves lighter on his feet than some fighters half his size, defying expectations and reinforcing the idea that his agility hasn't skipped a beat, even at a heavier weight.
Joe sarcastically suggests Canelo's body might be running on a secret battery pack. Despite the jests, there's genuine admiration. Adapting to a higher weight class is a challenge, and Canelo looks like he's meeting it head on.
And Jake would weigh over 200. They would probably fight either at cruiserweight or they would fight at one point.
And Canelo looks like he's meeting it head on. Despite the concerns that come with jumping weight classes, his footwork remains sharp, his movement fluid, and his intensity unwavering. Rogan notes that rather than being weighed down, Canelo seems to have adapted seamlessly, bringing the same fire, finesse, and foot speed that made him a force in lower divisions.
But didn't Tommy Fury, take Jake Paul?
No, he beat him, but it was a very good fight.
That's what I'm saying.
At one point, Rogan spots a brief moment of rest, Canelo catching his breath between circuits. Joe leans into it, joking that Canelo treats rest like a rare Pokemon. But within that fleeting pause lies proof of elite discipline. Canelo's control over his pace, breathing, and heart rate speaks volumes. Rogan reminds viewers that true champions know not just when to hammer, but also when to pause. With a smirk, he adds, even legends need a moment to polish their crowns.
Yeah.
Tommy Fury versus compared to Canelo.
Right. Different levels. Yeah, no doubt. Look, who's favored for sure?
Canelo switched.
The camera then zooms in on Canelo's footwork drills, ladders, cones, and rapid retreats in full flow. Joe lights up, calling it traffic cone ballet, and jokes that if Canelo ever retired, he could star in a fitness infomercial. But beneath the humor, the display of sharp pivots, lateral dashes, and instant stops highlights the critical importance of footwork, especially against someone like Crawford, whose switch stance artistry demands constant adjustment. Rogan notes that in a fight like this, one misstep is all an opponent needs to find and exploit an opening.
The greatest of all time. I mean, one of the greatest boxers of all time, Canelo Alvarez. He's the favorite. But I'd like to see what happens. It would be crazy.
Canelo switches to midwork that mimics Crawford's range, straight jabs, long crosses, and lateral feints. Joe's commentary swings between playful mockery and sober respect. He teases Canelo for rehearsing Crawford's moves like a method actor prepping for a villain role, but quickly emphasizes that this is the smartest strategy. Prepare for every trick your opponent might bring. Rogan contends that the real test won't be just in the mimicry, but in how naturally Canelo can blend offense and defense against Crawford's elusive, ever-shifting style.
I like a little freak show every now and then. As far as, would you like to see
I like
Jake
a lot of freak show.
Look at Jake toward the end.
As the session hits its peak, sweat flies off Canelo like sparks from a welder's torch. Joe's excitement crescendos into near hysteria as he rants about power output and stamina reserves. He jokes that after this workout, Canelo could run a marathon in full boxing gear while solving calculus problems. The sheer ferocity on display transforms Rogan into a lion roaring approval. If Canelo carries even half this fire into the ring, he warns, opponents better bring a fire extinguisher.